Despite being in the complementary medicine industry for more than 20 years, and despite enjoying a really good level of health, high vitality, and not being hampered from doing anything that I love by my body's size or shape or state of health, I have had a yo-yo weight problem for most of my life. I remember first being aware of being really overweight when I was about 7. And when I was 16, I went on a structured program, and for 6 months, I didn't cheat at all, and I lost 30 kilograms. However, since then, I've gained and lost the same 10, 15, when I was pregnant, maybe a bit more, kilograms, probably 4 or 5 times since then. What I've also found is with my patients in my practice, they are really motivated while they're unwell. They do really well. They feel great. They vow and declare they're never going back to their old habits. And once they feel okay, they seem to lose the motivation and the impetus. And then I see them a year later, and they seem to be more or less back to where we started. And so about 10 years ago, I decided I was never ever going to go on a weight loss diet again, because they just actually don't work. And I then dedicated myself to trying to find out what the mind-body connection is. What are the underlying emotional issues? Why is it that some of us are overweight and some of us are sick? Because, you know, being overweight, it's a sign, right? It's just a sign on your body. Just like having swollen joints is a sign on your body, but it means something different. And long story about how I got there, but eventually I realized that there's a few things. One is, if you don't have a high enough value on health, if there isn't enough internal inspiration as to why you want to look or feel a certain way, you're actually not going to be able to maintain whatever it takes to get there in the long term. Those people who look amazing and feel amazing and have high health and seem to do everything right, and it seems to be so effortless for them, it's not effortless for them, it's just that they're prepared to pay the price in order to reap the rewards, because they have a truly high value on it. And so when I realized that, I realized we all have, well, I learned actually from a teacher that we all have a unique hierarchy of values, a hierarchy of things towards which we prioritize energy. And we will be disciplined and focused and inspired in those top 2 or 3, and then we'll be more sabotaging and hesitating and procrastinating in the bottom ones. But we want instant gratification, and we still want results. We just don't want to pay the price in things that are a lower value to us. Then I read a book that was called The Secrets of Slim People, and basically the conclusion was that naturally slim people, or people that are slim, not necessarily naturally slim, they have 4 habits in common. One is that they eat only when they're physically hungry. They don't comfort eat. They don't eat in the middle of the night because they can't sleep. They just only eat when they're hungry. They eat whatever they want to eat. They eat what they enjoy, and they love their food generally. The third one is that they generally eat slowly, and finally they stop when they've had enough. And then I realized, okay, well, maybe if we could incorporate those together with actually making it a value, then we can design our own diets. We can each design our individual diet that is best suited for us. But in order to do that, we need to have an awareness of what is going on with us, and we have to re-foster a connection with ourselves. What I also realized was that most of us operate in terms of our body from here upwards, right? So we try and run everything from the head. It's as if the body is just this appendage that we're dragging around with us. But you know what? If your body is not well, I mean, you know what? If you've got a migraine headache, you feel like hell, right? You're not necessarily thinking negative thoughts, your relationships aren't falling apart, and you're not bankrupt, but you feel bloody awful. And the fact that you're not bankrupt and that you've got a good relationship doesn't really seem to matter that much at the time. So your health is important, and your body is part of who you are. It is the most intimate, most long-lasting relationship you're going to have of your entire life. And most of us are completely disconnected from it. We don't even know what hunger feels like, most of us. Those of us who live in the West, we don't know what hunger feels like. We don't know what feeling full feels like, which is why we don't know when to stop. We don't actually even know what it's like to be able to consciously choose whatever we feel like eating. I'm talking about those of us with disordered eating patterns, right? Or yo-yo weight problems, or illness. So, I mean, I'm generalizing now, right? It gets a whole lot more specific. So basically, I came up with this concept called the 5 magic moves. And the 5 magic moves are, you've got to actually make it a value. You've got to find out why it matters to you. The why is really important. You need a massive why in order to inspire you. And if you don't keep on adding on to that why, then your inspiration is going to run out. And at some point, your discipline is going to fail. The others are just applying those rules that I told you, those things that naturally slim or healthy people tend to do automatically. But if it was that easy, we'd all be doing it, right? But we're not doing it. So I've developed a whole lot of tips and techniques to help reprogram the mind so that we can actually implement these 5 magic moves. What it's done for me is it's actually made me a much more conscious, aware eater. And this is hard because it's forced me to connect to how I feel. It's forced me to acknowledge my emotions. And that's just like, ugh, I mean, why can I not just think them away or busy them away or eat them away, which is what I've always tried to do. It also forces me to realize that every time I make a choice, it's a conscious choice. So I don't always make the right choice. I don't always make the more healthful choice. I sometimes make the less healthful choice. But the difference is, whereas before it was a compulsion and I didn't feel like I had any control over it, now I actually do. And I've got to connect much more with myself. I've got to understand myself a whole lot better. And in doing that, I've got to understand other people much better. And it's actually deepened my connection to others. And it has had the same effect for the people that I've taught. Somebody sent me a message and said, this Ditch Diets for Good thing, that's the name of the program, really works. And incidentally, I'm not going to try and sell it to you on this webinar at all. This is just an education webinar. It's a training webinar. Anyway, she said to me, this is an amazing thing because she travels a lot. And she says every time they go on holiday, she gains 3 or 4 or 5 kilograms. And they went overseas. They went on a 3 weeks holiday, she and her husband, and she gained only 1 kilogram. So she said to me, well, you may think gaining a kilogram is a failure in terms of a weight loss program, but actually I would have gained 5 in the past and it would have taken me that much longer to shed it. So it is a program that you can apply anytime. It doesn't matter that it's Christmas, it doesn't matter that it's your birthday, it doesn't matter that it's Valentine's Day, it doesn't matter that it's Thanksgiving, it doesn't matter that it's a special anniversary, it doesn't actually even matter that it is a Saturday, because there are no cheat days, because there is no cheating, because you don't have to cheat as long as you're making a conscious choice. So I hope that you'll join me for this webinar on the 31st of January. It's a Thursday evening. It's at 6 o'clock GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, 8 o'clock if you're living in South Africa. And I have no idea what time it is when you're living anywhere else. You're going to have to do that on one of those world clock things. Really bad at that kind of thing. I am not going to have a recording. I will have another live one. I'll probably have 2 or 3, I'm hoping, but they will be slightly different every time. So I'm hoping that you will join me. You can register in the link in this email. If you're watching this on Facebook or on any other social media platform, there will be a link either above or below this post. I look forward to being able to share with you what the 5 magic moves are, what the myths are surrounding nutrition and diets, why it is that we need an inside-out approach. And I'm hoping that I will have lots of comments and questions from you so that we can have a really interactive experience. I will definitely leave time for that towards the end. So I look forward to seeing you there.